I'm standing in my parents' dining room with a store-bought cherry pie, trying to act like this is just another Sunday visit. The afternoon light filters through the lace curtains Mom has hung for 30 years. Everything looks normal, the same oak table, the same china cabinet, the same family photos on the wall where I'm still frozen at 17. Then Dad slides a thick document across the table. The paper makes a whispering sound that fills the whole room. "We rewrote the will," he says. His voice is flat, like he's reading a grocery list. I stare at the papers. My hands don't move to pick them up. "You'll understand," Mom adds quickly, but she won't look at me. She's studying her coffee cup like it holds the secrets of the universe. "You don't need it." My brother Cole leans back in his chair, arms crossed, wearing a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. That smirk. I know that smirk. It's the same one he wore when he was 12, and broke my science project, then convinced Mom I'd done it myself. "It's not about need," Dad continues. He folds his hands on the table right next to the document. "It's about who stayed. Who was here." My throat tightens. I can feel my pulse in my temples. This wasn't a discussion. This wasn't even a conversation. This was an execution, already carried out, and I'm just being shown the body. "You've done well for yourself, Audrey," Mom says softly. "Cole needs security. He stayed with us. He helped us through everything." I try to find words, but they're stuck somewhere between my chest and my mouth. I built a company from nothing. I turned an idea in my college apartment into a technology platform that changed how people work. When we went public, the valuation hit $150 billion. But in this room, none of that matters. In this room, I'm still the daughter who left. "When did you do this?" I finally manage. My voice sounds strange to my own ears. "Last month," Dad says. He picks up his own coffee, takes a sip. Casual, like we're discussing the weather. "Last month. They'd invited me to Sunday dinner last month, too. We'd eaten pot roast, we'd talked about the garden, and the whole time, this was already done." Cole uncrosses his arms and leans forward. "Also," he says, and his smile widens, "Dad already told the family why." The words hit me like cold water. The family. Our aunts, uncles, cousins, the people I've known my entire life. "What did you tell them?" I ask. "The truth," Dad says simply. "But I know my father, and I know that his version of truth is a flexible thing. It bends, it shifts, it becomes whatever shape he needs it to be." I look at the will again, still untouched on the table. I don't pick it up. I don't need to read it to understand what's happening. This isn't about inheritance. This is about control. This is about punishment. "I should go," I say. "Audrey," Mom starts, but I'm already standing. "Thank you for telling me in person," I say. My voice is steady now, calm. I've negotiated with investors, with board members, with people who wanted to destroy what I built. I can handle this. I leave the pie on the counter. I walk to my car. I don't cry until I'm 3 blocks away, pulled over on a side street, gripping the steering wheel like it's the only solid thing left in the world. Let me tell you who I am, because it matters for what comes next. I'm Audrey. I'm 34 years old. I'm the CEO and founder of a company that changed the world. And according to my family, I'm the difficult daughter. I left home at 18. Not because I was running from anything terrible. There was no abuse, no addiction, nothing dramatic. I left because I wanted to build something, and I knew I couldn't do it in the small town where I grew up, where everyone knew everyone and nobody left except for college, and even then, they came back. I worked 3 jobs my first year. I slept on a friend's couch. I ate ramen and rice and learned to code in the gaps between shifts at a coffee shop and a bookstore. I was tired all the time. I was happy. My parents didn't understand. Mom cried when I left. Dad told me I was making a mistake, that I should stay close. Get a normal job, maybe teach at the local high school. Cole was 16 then, and he watched me pack with this look on his face like I was betraying him personally. I called home every week for the first year. Then every month. Then every few months. Not because I loved them less, but because every conversation was the same. "When are you coming home? Why are you doing this? Are you happy?" I built my company with 2 college friends in an apartment that smelled like mildew and hope. We created software that helped small businesses manage everything in one place. It was simple. It was needed. It grew. When we raised our first $1 million, I sent money home. Not a lot, $5,000. I wanted to share it. I wanted them to see that I hadn't made a mistake. Dad deposited the check and never mentioned it. When we raised our Series B, I paid off their mortgage. That was $80,000. I sent a letter with the check explaining what the money meant, how their house was free and clear now, how they never had to worry about it again. Mom called and said thank you. Then she said, "But Cole is struggling. He needs help too." I helped Cole. I gave him $10,000 to start a business. Then another $5,000 when that one failed. Then another $8,000 when he wanted to try something new. The calls kept coming, not about my success, about what I should do with it. When we went public, the company valuation reached heights I'd never imagined. $150 billion. I owned 12%. I became on paper one of the wealthiest people in the state. The day the news broke, Mom called. "Cole stayed," she said. "He's been here for us. He deserves security." Now I'm sitting in my downtown apartment staring at my phone. There's a text from my Aunt Helen, Dad's sister. The message is simple. "Why did your parents say you abandoned them?" I read it 5 times. Abandoned. That's the word they're using. That's the story they're telling. I call Helen. She picks up on the second ring. "Audrey, honey, I don't want to get involved in family business," she starts. "What did they say?" I ask. "Please." She sighs. "Your dad said you left and never looked back, that you got rich and forgot where you came from, that they tried to reach out but you were too busy." "That's not true." "I know," she says quietly. "I see your name in the news. I know what you've built, but that's what they're saying." I thank her and hang up. I sit on my couch in silence, looking out at the city lights. I've negotiated billion-dollar deals. I've managed thousands of employees. I've spoken at conferences around the world, but I can't fix this. Sunday morning, I'm at church. Not my church. I stopped going years ago. But their church, in my hometown, because I promised my grandmother before she died that I'd show up for the annual pancake breakfast fundraiser. I'm wearing a simple dress, nothing flashy. I've learned to dress down when I come home. People here watch. They notice. The church basement smells like butter and maple syrup. Long tables are set up, families clustered around them, everyone talking and laughing. I see faces I've known my whole life. They smile at me, but the smiles are different now. Sharp. Mrs. Patterson, who used to babysit me, walks over. She's holding a paper plate stacked with pancakes. "Audrey," she says, voice bright. "Your parents must be so proud." "Thank you," I say. "They sacrificed so much so you could chase your dreams," she continues. Her eyes are fixed on mine, steady. "I remember your mother working 2 jobs when you were in high school, and now look at you." Something in her tone makes me pause. It sounds like a compliment. It isn't. "I'm grateful for everything they did," I say carefully. "Of course," Mrs. Patterson says. She leans in slightly. "It must be hard for them now, though." "Hard? Well," she says, lowering her voice like she's sharing a secret everyone already knows, "they're getting older. Medical bills, you know, and Cole told my son that you're too busy to help them now that you're rich." The words hang in the air. Too busy. Now that you're rich, I swallow. That's not accurate. "Oh, I'm sure there's more to the story," she says quickly, smiling again. "I'm sure you have your reasons." She walks away before I can respond. I stand there, plate in hand, and suddenly I'm aware of how many people are watching me. Quiet glances, whispered conversations. They think I abandoned my parents. They think I got wealthy and left them behind. I find my Aunt Helen at a corner table. She waves me over, and I sit down gratefully. "You heard," she says. "It's not a question. Everyone's heard," I say quietly. "Your father's been talking," Helen says. She cuts her pancakes with precise movements. At coffee group, at Rotary, at the hardware store, he's telling everyone you won't help them, that you've changed. "I've sent them money. I've offered to help." "I know," Helen says, "but that's not the story he's telling." My phone buzzes. A text from Dad. "Family meeting next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Important." I show Helen. She reads it, and her face goes tight. "Who else is coming?" "I don't know." "Find out," she says, "before you go." I text back, "Who will be there?" The response comes fast. "Family and close friends. We need to clear the air." Helen and I look at each other. She reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. "Be careful," she says. I leave the church breakfast early. As I walk to my car, I hear someone behind me say, "She can't even stay for the whole meal. Too important now." I don't turn around. I get in my car and drive back to the city, my hands shaking on the wheel. Wednesday evening, I arrive at my parents' house at exactly 7 o'clock. I've prepared for this meeting like I'd prepare for a board presentation. Notes, timeline of all financial help I've provided, printed records of calls and texts. But when I walk in, I realize preparation won't matter. The living room is full. My parents sit on the couch. Cole sits in Dad's recliner, legs crossed, looking comfortable. And then there are the others. Pastor Mike from their church sits in a dining room chair pulled into the circle. Cole's girlfriend Amanda is perched on the armrest of his chair. Two of their neighbors, the Hendersons, who live 3 doors down, sit stiffly on folding chairs. They're arranged like a jury. Audrey, Dad says, gesturing to an empty chair directly across from him. Sit down. I sit. I keep my face neutral. This is a setup. I know it. They know I know it. We're all pretending this is something else. We asked these folks here as witnesses, Dad says. He has a notepad in front of him. Actual notes. Because this has gotten out of hand and we need honest people to hear what's being said. Witnesses to what? I ask. To the truth, Mom says. Her voice is soft, hurt. To what our family has become. Pastor Mike clears his throat. Audrey, we're here because we care about this family. No judgment, just clarity. I nod slowly. Okay. Dad picks up his notepad. I want to read something I wrote down, just my observations. He adjusts his glasses. When Audrey left for college, we supported her, financially, emotionally. We sent money when she was struggling. We believed in her. This is already a lie. They didn't send money. I worked 3 jobs, but I don't interrupt. As her company grew, Dad continues, we were proud, but something changed in her. She stopped calling regularly. She missed holidays. She became distant. I came home for Christmas every year, I say quietly. For a day or two, Mom adds. Never longer, always rushing back to your important work. Success changed her, Dad says, looking at the witnesses, and we understood. We didn't ask for anything. We didn't want to be a burden. Cole shifts in his chair. Until they needed help, he says, and she wasn't there. The Hendersons nod. Amanda squeezes Cole's hand supportively. What help did you need? I ask. Medical expenses, Mom says. Her eyes are filling with tears. Your father's heart condition. The bills have been crushing us. I didn't know about a heart condition, I say. No one told me. We shouldn't have to beg our own daughter, Dad says sharply. Family takes care of family. I've sent money, I say. I paid off your mortgage. I've helped Cole multiple times. The mortgage we didn't ask you to pay, Dad says. That was you trying to control us, to make us feel like we owed you. The accusation hits like a slap. I paid off their mortgage as a gift, and now it's being used against me. Pastor Mike leans forward. Audrey, no one here wants conflict. We want healing. Is there truth to what your parents are saying, that you've been distant? I've been building a company, I say. I call when I can, I visit when I can. But not when they need you, Cole says. He stands up now, starts pacing. Tell them what you refused to pay. Everyone looks at me, waiting. I don't know what you're talking about, I say. Cole walks to the kitchen and returns with a manila folder. He drops it on the coffee table in front of me. Medical bills, 18 months worth. Mom and Dad needed help. You said you'd think about it. I open the folder. Pages and pages of medical invoices, hospital bills, cardiac specialists, medications. The amounts are staggering, over $200,000. I never saw these, I say. We sent them to your assistant, Mom says, weeks ago. My assistant never showed me any medical bills from you. Maybe you should pay better attention to your messages, Cole says. The witnesses are watching. I can feel their judgment settling over me like a heavy blanket. In this room, I'm not a successful CEO. I'm an ungrateful daughter. I want to help, I say carefully. But I need to understand what's happening. These bills. You need to understand? Dad's voice rises. We're your parents. We're struggling. That should be enough. Pastor Mike holds up his hands. Let's all take a breath. Audrey, your parents are in a difficult situation. They're asking for help. Will you commit to supporting them financially through this health crisis? The question hangs in the air. It sounds reasonable. It sounds caring. But something about it feels wrong, like signing a contract without reading the fine print. I need time to review everything, I say. Cole laughs. It's a cold sound. There it is, the businesswoman. Can't even commit to helping her own parents without reviewing everything first. That's not fair, I start. What's not fair, Dad says, standing up, is that we raised you, sacrificed for you, and now when we need you, you're too important to just say yes. The meeting ends badly. The witnesses leave shaking their heads. Mom won't hug me goodbye. Cole whispers as I pass him, "You should have just signed the new will. This would have been easier." I drive home in silence, my mind racing. Something is very, very wrong. The next morning, I'm in my office when my assistant Julia knocks on my door. "Those medical records your family mentioned?" she says. "I never received anything. I checked spam, checked our general inquiry email, checked everything. Nothing." I nod slowly. That's what I thought. "What's going on?" Julia asks. She's worked with me for 4 years. She knows when something's wrong. "Family stuff," I say. "Complex." She leaves and I open the folder Cole gave me. I spread the bills across my desk and start reading carefully. The invoices are real. I can verify that by the hospital letterheads and account numbers. But as I read through them, something catches my attention. The patient name on several bills isn't just my father. It's my father and mother as co-signers. And 3 of the largest bills, totaling over $70,000, are from a cardiac imaging center. I call the center directly. A receptionist answers. "Hi," I say. "I'm calling about a bill for my father. I want to verify the services and see if there are payment arrangements available." "Of course," she says cheerfully. "Patient name?" I give her Dad's name and birth date. "One moment," she says. I hear typing. Then silence. Then more typing. "I'm sorry. I'm not finding any outstanding balance for that patient." "Are you sure? The bill I have shows over $20,000. "When was the service date?" I check the invoice. 6 months ago. More typing. "Oh, I see it now. That balance was paid in full 3 months ago." My hand tightens on the phone. "Paid by who?" I can't release that information, but it shows as paid. There's no balance. I thank her and hang up. Then I call the next provider on the list. Same story. Balance paid, no outstanding amount. By the time I've called all 6 facilities, the picture is clear. The bills are real, but they're already paid. Someone settled these debts months ago. I sit back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Why would Cole show me paid bills and claim they still needed money? My phone rings. It's Mom. I consider not answering, but I pick up. "Audrey," she says, her voice thick with tears. "You know your father's heart condition is serious. The doctors say he needs to reduce stress. All this fighting with you, it's killing him." "Mom, I called the hospitals. Those bills are paid." Silence. Then, "The old bills are paid, we have new ones." "Can you send me the new bills? Why do you need to see them? Don't you trust us?" "It's not about trust, I just want to understand. This is exactly what your father means," she says. "You treat us like a business transaction. We're your family, Audrey. Your family." She hangs up. I sit in my office as the sun sets outside my windows. The city lights start twinkling on. I've built something incredible. I've employed thousands of people. I've created value that changed industries. But I can't figure out what's happening in my own family. That evening, I'm at home making dinner when my phone buzzes. An email notification. The subject line makes my stomach drop. Lien notice, public record alert. I open it. It's an automated notification from a property monitoring service I set up years ago to track real estate in my hometown. I'd considered buying some investment properties there once. The notice shows a new lien filing. The property address is my parents' house. I click through to the public records database. The lien is from a bank, filed 3 weeks ago, for a loan default. The amount is substantial, $320,000. But I paid off their mortgage years ago. How is there a lien on the house? I keep reading. The lien isn't for a mortgage, it's for a home equity loan taken out last year. The loan has missed 3 payments and is now in pre-foreclosure status. My parents took out over $300,000 in equity last year and are defaulting on it. I'm still staring at the screen when my phone buzzes again. A text from Mom, just 1 sentence. "Don't embarrass us." I don't sleep that night. I lie in bed thinking about that lien notice, about the paid medical bills, about the meeting with the witnesses. Pieces of a puzzle I don't understand yet. By morning, I've made a decision. I'm going back home, not to argue, not to fight, to ask one question. I arrive at my parents' house mid-morning on Saturday. Dad's truck is in the driveway. Cole's car is there too. Good. I want them both present. I knock. But I also use my old key. I've had it since high school. I've never given it back. They're in the kitchen. Dad's reading the newspaper. Cole is on his phone. Mom is unloading the dishwasher. They look up when I walk in, surprised. "Audrey," Mom says, "we didn't know you were coming." "I have a question," I say. I keep my voice calm, neutral. "Why did you refinance the house last year?" The room goes still. Dad puts down his newspaper slowly. Cole's fingers freeze on his phone screen. "That's our business," Dad says. "I paid off the mortgage," I say. "As a gift. You took out a home equity loan 9 months later. $320,000. I'm just curious. Why?" "How do you know about that?" Cole asks. His voice is sharp. "Public records," I say. "The lien showed up. You're in default." Mom's face goes pale. She looks at Dad, then at Cole. "You said it wouldn't show up anywhere." "Mom," Cole says quickly, "don't." "Why did you take out the loan?" I ask again. Dad stands up. His chair scrapes loudly against the floor. "We needed home improvements. The roof, the foundation, things you wouldn't understand because you're never here." $300,000 for a roof? "And other things," Dad says. "It's our house, Audrey. We can do what we want with it." "Of course you can," I say. "I'm just trying to understand. Because at the meeting Wednesday you said you were struggling with medical bills, but the medical bills are paid, and now there's a loan default on public record. I'm just trying to understand what's actually happening." Cole stands up too. He's taller than me, and he uses it. Steps close. "You know what's happening? You're trying to control everything. You paid off the mortgage without asking, so now you think you own us." "I don't want to own anyone," I say. "I just want the truth." "The truth," Cole says, "is that we needed the money for upgrades, for making this place nice, for our future." "Is that so wrong?" "Which upgrades?" I ask. I look around the kitchen. Nothing has changed. The same old cabinets, the same appliances, the same linoleum floor from 1995. "Show me what you upgraded." "The work isn't finished," Cole says, but he answers too fast, too defensive. I look at Dad. "What did you spend $300,000 on?" "That's between us and the bank," Dad says. "Not you." "Okay," I say. I nod slowly. "Okay, I just wanted to ask." I turn to leave. As I reach the door, Cole calls after me. Must be nice being able to throw money around and judge everyone. I don't answer. I get in my car and drive away. That night, I'm lying in bed when an email notification lights up my phone. Another public records alert. I sit up and open it. My heart starts pounding. The lien isn't just a lien anymore. The bank has filed a notice of default sale. Unless the loan is brought current within 30 days, the house will be sold at auction. My parents are 30 days from losing their home. I forward the email to myself from 3 different accounts, making sure I have backup copies. Then I call the one person I trust to help me figure out what to do next. Juliet Carver answers on the second ring. "Audrey, it's almost midnight." "I need your help," I say. "I need it to be official. Attorney-client privilege, all of it." "What's wrong?" "Everything," I say. "Can you meet me tomorrow?" "I'll clear my morning," she says. I hang up and stare at the ceiling. Juliet has been my attorney for 8 years. She handled my first startup contracts. She helped negotiate my acquisition deals. She's brilliant, ruthless when she needs to be, and completely honest. If anyone can help me navigate this, it's her. But as I'm finally drifting off to sleep, one thought keeps circling. Cole answered too fast when I asked about the upgrades. He knew I'd look. He knew there were no upgrades. So where did $300,000 go? Juliet's office is downtown, on the 40th floor of a glass tower. Floor-to-ceiling windows look out over the city. I've always liked coming here. It feels like being above the problems, like you can see solutions from this height. She's waiting for me with coffee and a legal pad. Juliet is 53, sharp-eyed, with silver hair she wears in a neat bob. She doesn't waste time on small talk. "Tell me everything," she says. I do. I start with the will, move through the witness meeting, explain the medical bills that were already paid, describe the lien and the default notice. I show her documents, texts, emails, everything. She takes notes, asks clarifying questions, stays quiet while I talk. When I finish, she sits back in her chair and taps her pen against her pad. "This isn't estate planning," she says finally. "This is punishment." "What do you mean?" "They're trying to hurt you. The will change was just the opening move. Everything after that." The public smearing, the fake medical crisis, the witness meeting, that's all designed to put you in a position where you have to choose between your dignity and your family. Why would they do that? Juliet looks at me carefully. Audrey, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to think before you answer. Do you want revenge, or do you want peace? I stare out the window. The city stretches out below us. Thousands of buildings, millions of people, all living their own complicated lives. I want clean justice, I say finally. I want whatever's right. Good, Juliet says, because revenge would be easy. Peace would be possible if they wanted it. But clean justice, that's harder. That requires documentation, strategy, and patience. I have all three. Then let's start with the public records. She opens her laptop and pulls up the county database. The home equity loan, let's see who signed for it. She types in my parents' address. The loan document appears. She scrolls through it, reading quickly. Both your parents signed, she says. Co-borrowers. And look, there's a third signature. I lean forward. Oh, Cole, as a guarantor. My brother guaranteed a $300,000 loan on our parents' house. Why would need to guarantee their loan? Unless, pull up the purpose statement, I say. Juliet scrolls. There it is, in standard bank language. Loan proceeds to be used for home improvements and debt consolidation. Debt consolidation, I repeat. Whose debt? Juliet's fingers fly across her keyboard. She's pulling up more records now, cross-referencing names and addresses. Give me a minute. I wait. I drink my coffee. It's gone cold. Audrey, Juliet says slowly. Did your brother have a business in the last 2 years? He's had several. They all failed. One of them was called Cole's Investment Solutions LLC? I think so. He called it a financial consulting business. Juliet turns her laptop to show me. The LLC was registered 18 months ago. It took out business loans from 3 different sources. Total borrowed $280,000. The LLC was dissolved 9 months ago, defaulted on all loans. The numbers click into place in my head. The house loan is dated 9 months ago. Exactly, Juliet says. The timing matches. Cole's business failed, left him in massive debt, and the house equity loan was taken out to pay those business debts. That's what debt consolidation meant. But why would my parents sign for that? Because he's their son. Because he convinced them. Because they wanted to believe he'd succeed. She closes her laptop, and now they're in default, about to lose their house, and they need someone to blame. That someone is you. I stand up and walk to the window. From here, I can see my office building across downtown. I built that company. I worked 80-hour weeks. I sacrificed relationships, sleep, health, everything to make it real. And my brother burned through $300,000 of our parents' equity on a failed business. There's more, Juliet says behind me. Look at this. She's holding up a document on her screen. Did you know there's an old family trust? I turn around. What? A trust established by your grandfather before he died. I found it cross-referenced in the property records. It's been dormant for years, but it's still active. What kind of trust? Juliet reads from the screen. The Harrison Family Trust, established 1987. Purpose: to prevent family conflict over inheritance and provide mechanisms for fair distribution of assets in the event of disagreement. I've never heard of this. Most people don't know about old family trusts until they need them, Juliet says. But here's the interesting part. There's a buyout clause. A buyout clause? Yes. It's triggered by major conflict or disinheritance. If those conditions are met, any family member can invoke the trust and buy out other family members' interest in shared assets at a fixed formula. Your grandfather set it up so nobody could use emotional manipulation to control the family property. I sit down again. Are you saying I could buy them out? I'm saying the trust has provisions. We'd need to read the full document, see what's required to trigger it. But Audrey, if you invoke this, there's no going back. It will destroy whatever relationship remains. What relationship? I ask. They disinherited me and are telling the town I abandoned them. What relationship is left to save? Juliet nods slowly. Then we need to get a copy of the full trust document. And we need to be very, very careful about what we do next. I'm standing to leave when my phone rings. It's Cole. I show Juliet the screen. Answer it, she says. Put it on speaker. I do. Hello? Hey, Audrey. Cole's voice is different. Lighter, friendlier. Listen, I know things got heated yesterday. I want to apologize. You were just asking questions. That's fair. Okay, I say carefully. Look, I've been thinking. This whole thing with Mom and Dad, it's gotten out of hand. We're family. We should be able to work this out. I'd like that. Good. So here's what I'm thinking. The house situation is temporary. They just need to get caught up on payments. If you could wire Dad's attorney like $250,000, that would settle everything. Then we could all move forward. $250,000, said like he's ordering coffee. That's a lot of money, Cole. I know, but you have it, and they're our parents. They need us. I need to think about it. His tone changes, gets colder. Think fast, because if you don't help them, they're going to lose the house, and everyone will know you let it happen. You'll be the daughter who let her parents become homeless while sitting on billions. I'll think about it, I repeat. Don't think too long, he says. Then he laughs. Actually, you know what? It doesn't matter. Either way, you'll lose them for good. At least if you pay, you'll lose them with a clear conscience. He hangs up. Juliet and I look at each other. That was a threat, she says. That was my brother, I reply. We need to move faster, Juliet says. He's escalating. That afternoon, my phone buzzes with an email. It's from my father's attorney, a local lawyer I've never heard of named Vernon Walsh. The subject line, Family Support Agreement. I open the attachment. It's a legal document, 3 pages long. Send it to me, Juliet says. I forward it immediately. 60 seconds later, my phone rings. It's Juliet. Don't sign this, she says. Do not sign this under any circumstances. What is it? It's a trap. That evening, Juliet comes to my apartment. She brings Thai food and a red pen. We spread the family support agreement across my dining table. Read it carefully, she says, circling passages as she talks. It sounds reasonable at first. You agree to provide financial support to your parents during their time of need. Standard stuff. But look at this language. Support shall include but not be limited to medical expenses, housing costs, lifestyle maintenance, and any other expenses deemed necessary for their well-being. That's not a fixed amount. That's a blank check. I read the sentence again. She's right. It's completely open-ended. And here she continues, pointing to another section. Duration of support shall continue for the natural lives of the parents or until such time as they determine support is no longer needed. They decide when it stops, not you. This would make me responsible for everything. Everything, Juliet confirms. And look at this final clause. Failure to provide support as outlined shall constitute breach of family duty and may result in legal action to compel performance. They could sue me for not giving them money? They could try. This agreement would give them grounds. It's essentially signing over control of your finances to them, disguised as family love. I push the document away. I'm not signing this. Good, but they're gonna push. This is the escalation I warned you about. She's right. Over the next 3 days, I receive 7 calls from Vernon Walsh's office. I don't answer. He leaves messages explaining that my parents are confused and hurt by my silence, that they thought I'd want to help them, that all they need is my signature. On day 4, Mom calls. Audrey, she says when I answer. She's crying. I don't understand what's happening. Vernon sent you a simple agreement. We just need to know you'll help us. Why won't you sign? Because it's not a simple agreement, Mom. It's a legal contract that would make me responsible for unlimited expenses for the rest of your lives. We're your parents, she says. Isn't that what children do? Take care of their parents? I want to help, but not like this. Not with a legal contract that has no boundaries. If you loved us, she says quietly, you'd do this. You wouldn't need boundaries. She hangs up. I sit on my couch staring at nothing. The words echo. If you loved us. As if love and financial manipulation are the same thing. That night, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about everything. The will, the loan, the medical bills, the agreement. I think about Cole's smirk and Dad's cold eyes and Mom's tears that feel more calculated than real. At 2 a.m, I'm sitting in my car outside my childhood home. I didn't plan to drive here. I just ended up here, like my car knew where my heart needed to be, even when my mind was trying to protect me. The house is dark. They're sleeping. Inside those walls are my childhood memories. Birthdays, Christmas mornings, scraped knees, homework at the kitchen table, Mom teaching me to bake, Dad showing me how to change a tire. When did it become like this? When did we go from family to strangers wearing family faces? I almost cave. I almost call Juliet and tell her to negotiate something, anything, just to make this stop. Because I'm tired. I'm so tired of fighting, but then I remember something my grandfather once told me. I was 15, and I'd gotten in trouble at school for refusing to go along with what everyone else was doing. He pulled me aside and said, "Audrey, loving someone doesn't mean surrendering who you are. Real love respects boundaries. Anything else is just control wearing love's mask." I didn't understand it then. I do now. I start my car and drive home. When I get to my apartment, I call Juliet. It's almost 3 in the morning, but she answers. "I'm awake," she says. "Figured you might call." I choose strategy, I say. "Whatever that means. Whatever we have to do, I'm ready." "Okay," she says. "Then tomorrow, we're going to request their financial disclosures, legally, through proper channels. We're going to find out exactly where that money went." They'll refuse. Probably, she agrees. But their refusal will tell us everything we need to know. I sleep for 3 hours. When I wake up, I feel different. Clearer. Stronger. The war isn't starting, it's already been happening. I was just the last one to know. Juliet files the disclosure request through formal legal channels. Because I paid off their original mortgage, and because the home equity loan affects what was my gift, we have standing to request information about how the loan proceeds were used. The response comes 2 days later. A letter from Vernon Walsh on official letterhead. "My clients decline your hostile request for private financial information. Your interference in their affairs is unwelcome and inappropriate." Hostile. That's the word they're using. "Perfect," Juliet says when I call her. Now we know. Know what? That they're hiding something significant. If the money went to legitimate home improvements, they'd show us the receipts and invoices. Their refusal confirms our theory. That afternoon, I'm in a board meeting when my assistant Julia slips me a note. "Your father is calling news stations, says you're threatening to take everything." I excuse myself and step out. I call Juliet immediately. "He's going public," I tell her. "Let him," she says calmly. "We have documentation. He has accusations. In the court of public opinion, accusations win first. In real courts, documentation wins last. And we're playing the long game." But it stings. I imagine my father on the phone with reporters, voice shaking with righteous anger, telling them his wealthy daughter is trying to destroy him. That evening, I get a call from an unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. "Audrey? This is Michelle Chen from First National Bank." She sounds nervous. "I'm a loan officer. I probably shouldn't be calling you directly, but your parents' loan file crossed my desk today." "Okay?" I say carefully. "The loan is in serious default. Foreclosure proceedings are starting, but there's something you should know. The bank is considering selling the note." "Selling it?" "To a debt buyer. It happens with distressed loans sometimes. The bank wants to recoup what it can without going through full foreclosure. They'll sell the note at a discount to someone else who then becomes the lender." "Why are you telling me this?" She's quiet for a moment. "Because I looked up who you are. And I think maybe you didn't know about any of this. The loan file has some irregularities, red flags. I can't say more, but if that note goes to a debt buyer, your parents could lose everything." "When will they decide about selling?" "Soon. Maybe a week. I just thought you should know." She hangs up. I stand in my apartment looking out at the city lights, my mind racing. If the note is sold, whoever buys it controls the debt, controls whether my parents keep their house or lose it, controls the narrative. I call Juliet. "Can we buy the note? The mortgage note? You mean, become the lender?" "Yes." "Is that legal?" "Completely legal. Banks sell distressed notes all the time. It's a normal practice." "Then I want to buy it." Juliet is quiet for a long moment. "Audrey, if you do this, you'll own the debt your parents can't pay. You'll control whether they keep their house. That's enormous power." "I know. They'll accuse you of manipulation, of hostile takeover tactics. They're already accusing me of worse. At least this way, I can make sure they don't become homeless while they're busy telling everyone I abandoned them. This will require a shell company, an LLC, to make the purchase. It has to be transparent enough to pass legal scrutiny, but structured so they don't know it's you until we're ready." "Set it up," I say. "Today." "Audrey," Juliet says softly. "Once we do this, there's no going back. This will change everything. Everything changed when they rewrote the will, I say. I'm just adapting to the new rules they created. By the end of the week, Juliet has established an LLC called Westridge Holdings. It's registered in my name, fully documented, completely above board. Nothing hidden. But the name means nothing to my parents. Juliet contacts First National Bank with an offer. Purchase the distressed note at 90 cents on the dollar. It's above what most debt buyers would offer. The bank accepts within 48 hours. 3 days later, the paperwork is complete. I own my parents' home equity loan. I'm now their lender. They have no idea. What now? I ask Juliet. Now, she says, we wait. Let's see what they do next. That same evening, I get a text from Cole. Dad's having a party next weekend. Family celebration. You should come. I stare at the message. A party? While they're in default on a loan I now own. While they're telling the town I've abandoned them. What are they celebrating? I text back. The new will, he replies. It's official now. Time to honor those who stayed. I don't respond. I forward the message to Juliet. Go to the party, she texts back. Watch what they do. People reveal more when they think they've already won. The party is at my parents' house on Saturday afternoon. Cars line the street when I arrive. I recognize most of them, relatives, neighbors, family, friends. I park a block away and walk to the house. My stomach is tight, but I keep my face neutral, calm. The front door is open. Music plays inside. People are laughing. I walk in. Conversation stops. Heads turn. Someone whispers. Then everyone goes back to talking, but quieter now. Watching. Mom is in the kitchen, arranging food on platters. She sees me and her smile freezes. Audrey, you came. Cole said it was a family celebration. It is. She looks past me, like she's hoping someone else will handle this. Help yourself to food. I move through the house. People greet me with careful politeness. Mrs. Henderson from down the street, who was at the witness meeting, gives me a tight smile and says, "How nice you could make time." In the living room, Dad stands near the fireplace, holding a beer, surrounded by people. He's telling a story and everyone's laughing. When he sees me, he stops mid-sentence. "Audrey," he says. Everyone looks. "Glad you could join us." "Wouldn't miss it," I say. Cole appears beside me with a beer in his hand. "Want a drink?" "I'm fine." "Relax," he says. "It's a party. We're celebrating new beginnings." "What new beginnings?" He grins. "Dad, you want to tell her? Or should I?" Dad sets down his beer and picks up a folder from the mantel. "We finalized the will this week. Made it official with the attorney. Everything's settled now." "Congratulations," I say. "Cole inherits the house, the property, everything," Dad continues. "He's earned it. He's been here. He's supported us. That's what family does." People nod. Someone claps. I feel their eyes on me, waiting for a reaction. "I hope it works out well," I say simply. Cole laughs. "That's it? No big speech about how unfair it is?" "It's your decision," I say. "Your assets to distribute however you want." He looks disappointed, like he wanted more of a fight. Dad raises his beer. To family, to loyalty, to Cole, who stayed. Everyone raises their drinks. I stand there, not drinking, watching. The party continues. People eat, talk, laugh. I stay for an hour, polite but distant. I'm about to leave when Cole corners me near the back door. "You're taking this better than I expected," he says. He's on his third or fourth beer, voice slightly slurred. "Taking what?" "Being cut out, being the black sheep." He leans closer. "Enjoy your company, Audrey. It's all you'll have. You'll never have this house again. Never have these people. You chose money over family, and now you get to live with that." I look at him carefully. "Did you ever wonder why I left? Because you thought you were better than us." "No," I say quietly. "Because I wanted to build something that was mine. Something that wasn't controlled by other people's expectations." "How's that working out?" He sneers. "You're alone. Rich and alone." I don't answer. I walk to my car, and I don't look back. But as I'm driving away, I see Cole through the window, laughing with Dad, beer in hand, king of a castle that's about to crumble. Monday morning, my assistant tells me there's a letter from Vernon Walsh. It arrived by courier, marked urgent. I open it in my office. It's another agreement, longer this time, more formal. 12 pages of legal language. I call Juliet immediately. They sent a new agreement. "Read me the title." I flip to the first page. Voluntary Family Support Obligation and Asset Protection Framework. "Send it now," she says. I scan it and email it to her. 2 minutes later, she calls back. This is worse than the first one, she says. This isn't just about supporting them. This gives them legal authority to make financial decisions in consultation with you. It essentially makes you a checkbook they control. What happens if I don't sign? Look at page 8, section 4, subsection B. I flip through. The language is dense, but the meaning is clear. If I don't sign within 30 days, they reserve the right to pursue civil action for breach of implied family contract and fiduciary duty arising from prior gifts. They're threatening to sue me for the mortgage I paid off. They're threatening to argue that your gift created an obligation. It won't hold up in court, but it'll make your life hell for a year while it's litigated, and it'll be public. What do I do? Don't sign. Don't respond. Let them show their hand. That afternoon, Mom leaves a voicemail. Her voice is shaking. Audrey, Vernon says you got the papers. He says you haven't responded. Please, sweetheart, if you loved us, you'd do this. You'd take care of us. Isn't that what you always said? That you'd help? I save the voicemail. I don't call back. The next day, Dad texts, "Last chance. Sign the agreement or accept that you're choosing to abandon us." I screenshot the text and send it to Juliet. They're getting desperate, she says, which means they know the loan sale happened. The bank must have notified them they have a new lender. But they don't know it's me? Not yet. The paperwork shows Westridge Holdings. They're probably scrambling to figure out who bought it. That evening, I'm at home when Cole calls. I put it on speaker. "Audrey, what the hell did you do?" His voice is sharp, angry. "What do you mean?" "The loan. The bank sold our loan. Dad got a letter today from some company we've never heard of. Did you do this? Did you tell the bank to sell it?" "I don't control what banks do with their assets." "Bullshit. You have connections. You have money. Did you buy our loan?" "Why would I do that?" "Because you're vindictive. Because you want to control us." "Cole, I've been nothing but supportive. You're the one who took out a loan against the house for your failed business." Silence. "Then, who told you that?" "Public records. It's all right there. Your LLC, the loans, the default, all of it." He hangs up. Juliet calls 10 minutes later. "He knows you know about the business debt. He figured it out. Good, now he's scared. Scared people make mistakes." 2 days later, I'm sitting in my car outside my childhood home again. It's late afternoon, golden light slanting across the front lawn. I've been here for 30 minutes, unable to make myself leave, unable to make myself go to the door. This is my weakest moment. I'm thinking about Mom's voicemail, about Dad's text, about Cole's anger. I'm thinking about Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas mornings and all the years before everything broke. I could sign the agreement. I could give them what they want. I could make this stop. My hand is on my phone, ready to call Juliet and tell her I'm done fighting. That I'll give them the money. That I'll accept being the villain in their story if it means we can pretend to be a family again. Then I remember something. A moment from 10 years ago. I just raised my Series A funding. $3 million. I was exhausted, proud, terrified. I called Mom to tell her. She listened, said congratulations, then said, "That's wonderful, honey. When are you coming home?" Not "I'm proud of you." Not "tell me about it." Just "when are you coming home?" And I realized something that day that I've been trying to forget ever since. To them, I was only valuable if I was there. If I was available. If I was theirs to control. My success wasn't real to them. Only my absence was real. I put my phone away. I start my car. I drive back to the city. When I get home, I call Juliet. We're going to request their financial disclosures, officially, legally. Whatever that takes. Are you sure? I'm sure. I choose strategy. I choose documentation. I choose clean justice. Whatever that means, however long it takes, I'm ready. Okay, Juliet says. Then tomorrow we file a motion with the trust administrator. We argue that the disinheritance and the financial irregularities constitute grounds to trigger the buyout clause, your grandfather included. What will that do? It'll force them to provide complete financial documentation. Every transaction, every loan, every expense. And if they refuse, the trust administrator can compel disclosure. They'll fight it. Of course they will. But the trust has legal authority. Your grandfather was smart. He knew families fight about money. He built in protection. That night, I barely sleep. Part of me still wants to cave, to give them money and acceptance and whatever they need to stop hating me. But the stronger part, The part that built a company from nothing, that survived on ramen and hope, that learned to trust her own judgment. That part knows the truth. Love doesn't require surrender. Real family doesn't demand that you erase yourself to prove you care. By morning, I know what I'm doing is right. Juliet files the paperwork with the family trust administrator, an elderly attorney named Bernard Holt, who was my grandfather's lawyer. He's been managing the dormant trust for decades, probably never expecting anyone to invoke it. The notice is clear. Audrey Mitchell requests activation of the trust buyout clause based on disinheritance and evidence of financial impropriety affecting shared family assets. The response comes within a week. A letter from Vernon Walsh, furious and threatening. Your client's hostile actions constitute family harassment. We will pursue all legal remedies. And a separate letter from Bernard Holt, calm and official. The trust provisions have been invoked. All parties are required to provide financial documentation within 20 business days. Failure to comply will result in automatic judgment in favor of the invoking party. We've won the first battle. The war is just beginning. The deadline for financial disclosures is 3 weeks away. During those 3 weeks, everything escalates. First, Vernon Walsh files a motion to block the trust disclosure requirement. He argues that it's an invasion of privacy, that the trust is outdated, that modern law doesn't recognize such provisions. Bernard Holt, the trust administrator, responds with a 40-page brief citing case law going back 60 years. The trust is valid. The provisions are enforceable. The deadline stands. Second, my father starts calling everyone in the family. My Aunt Helen tells me about it. He's telling people you're trying to steal the house, that you're using lawyers to bully them. He sounds desperate, Audrey. He's hiding something, I tell her. That's why he's desperate. I know, she says quietly. I believe you. Third, the local newspaper runs a story, not a big one, just a small piece in the community section. Local family disputes, estate matters. It doesn't name anyone directly, but anyone who knows my family will recognize the details. Wealthy daughter, aging parents, inheritance fight. The reporter quotes an anonymous source saying, sometimes success changes people. They forget where they came from. I know it's my father. I know it's Cole, but I don't respond. Juliet advised me, don't engage. Let them tell their story. We'll tell ours when it matters, with documentation. The deadline approaches. 18 days, 15 days, 10 days. On day 8, Vernon Walsh sends another letter. My clients decline to provide the requested documentation. The request is intrusive, unnecessary, and motivated by malice. The trust provisions are being challenged in court. Juliet calls me immediately. They refused. What does that mean? It means they're desperate. It means whatever they're hiding is worse than the consequences of refusal, and it means Bernard Holt can rule in your favor automatically. Will he? Let's find out. We meet with Bernard Holt in his office. It's old-fashioned, wood paneling, leather chairs, shelves filled with law books. He's 82, sharp-eyed, with hands that shake slightly when he pours tea. Your grandfather was my closest friend, he tells me. I helped him draft this trust in 1987. He'd watched his own family tear itself apart over money after his father died. He wanted better for his children and grandchildren. Can you enforce the disclosure requirement? Juliet asks. I can, Bernard says. But there's a more efficient path. If they refuse disclosure, I can rule that the refusal constitutes evidence of financial impropriety. That automatically triggers the buyout clause. You'd have the right to purchase their interests in all trust assets at a formula-based valuation. What are the trust assets? I ask. Bernard opens a folder. The family cabin on Lake Morrison, a rental property downtown, and this is where it gets interesting, the original family home. Your grandfather never removed it from the trust, even though your parents believe they own it outright. The house is in the trust? Technically, yes. They have a life estate, the right to live there and use it, but the underlying ownership is trust property. If the buyout is triggered, you could purchase that interest. Juliet and I look at each other. What happens to their life estate? I ask. It continues. They can keep living there, but you'd own the property. You'd control what happens to it after they pass. And the loan? The one they took out? The loan is against their life estate, not against the trust property. But here's where it matters. If you own the trust interest and the loan note, which I understand you now do through Westridge Holdings, you'd have complete control of the situation. My head is spinning. They don't know the house is in the trust? Your parents never read the full trust documents, Bernard says. Your grandfather tried to explain it to them 30 years ago. They weren't interested in the details. They just wanted to know they'd inherit, so he let it go. But the trust structure never changed. This could end the whole fight, Juliet says slowly. If we trigger the buyout, you gain control through legal means, not through manipulation, just through enforcing the exact structure your grandfather created to prevent manipulation. Will they understand that? I ask. No, Bernard says bluntly. They'll see it as you taking their home. They won't understand the nuances. But the law is the law, and your grandfather's intentions are crystal clear in the trust documents. What do I have to do? Give them one more chance to provide the financial disclosures, Bernard says. Fair warning. If they refuse again, I'll issue a ruling that activates the buyout provision. Then you'll have the right to purchase all trust assets according to the formula. That evening, Juliet drafts a final notice. It's gentle, clear, and firm. Provide the financial disclosures by the deadline, or the trust administrator will rule in Audrey's favor and activate the buyout. We send it certified mail to my parents and to Vernon Walsh. 3 days later, I get a call from an unknown number. It's a banker, and his voice is apologetic. Miss Mitchell, this is Howard from First National. I wanted to give you a courtesy heads up. Your parents' loan note, the one we sold to Westridge Holdings, they're trying to pay it off. Pay it off how? They're in default. They're attempting to get a private loan from somewhere. If they succeed and pay off the note to Westridge, they'd eliminate that debt entirely. Can they do that? Legally, yes. Anyone can pay off a loan, but I thought you should know. I hang up and immediately call Juliet. They're trying to pay off the loan. Where would they get that kind of money? I don't know, but if they manage it, we lose leverage. Not entirely, Juliet says. We still have the trust buyout. The loan was just one piece. But Audrey, we need to move faster. If they're scrambling this hard, they're planning something bigger. She's right. They're not just refusing disclosure, they're actively fighting back. The game is changing, and I need to stay ahead. The financial disclosure deadline passes. My parents provide nothing. Vernon Walsh sends a one-sentence letter. We stand by our previous position. Bernard Holt issues his ruling 2 days later. It's formal, typed on official letterhead. Given the refusal to provide required documentation, and pursuant to Section 7B of the Harrison Family Trust, I hereby rule that the buyout provision is activated. Audrey Mitchell may purchase the trust interests of all other beneficiaries at the formula-based valuation outlined in Section 9. Valuation to commence immediately. Juliet calls me as soon as she receives it. We're in motion. The trust appraiser will value the assets this week. Once we have numbers, you'll have 30 days to make an offer. What assets exactly? The cabin, the rental property, and the house. Specifically, the trust's ownership interest in the house. Remember, your parents have a life estate so they can keep living there, but you'd own the underlying property. What about the loan? That's separate but related. You already own the loan through Westridge. Once you own the trust property, you'll essentially control everything about that house. You could restructure the loan terms, you could sell the property, you could do whatever you want within the limits of their life estate. And they'll know it's me? Eventually, yes. When the buyout documents are filed, your name will be on them. They'll figure it out. That week, my parents go on the offensive. Dad calls a meeting with our extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone. He doesn't invite me, but Aunt Helen goes and tells me about it afterward. He stood up in front of everyone, Helen says, her voice tight with anger, and said you're trying to steal the family home, that you're using lawyers and technicalities to kick them out on the street, that you've become cruel and greedy. What did people say? Most believed him. A few asked questions. Your Uncle Tom asked to see the legal documents and your father said they were too complicated to explain. That's when I knew he was lying. Thank you for telling me. Audrey, Helen says carefully, are you really buying their house? No, I'm buying a trust interest my grandfather set up to protect the family. They can keep living there. I'm not kicking anyone out. Will they see it that way? No, I admit. They won't. The trust appraiser finishes his work in 6 days. The valuation report arrives in Juliet's office. The cabin is worth $380,000. The rental property is worth $220,000. The trust's ownership interest in the family home, separate from my parents' life estate, is valued at $450,000. Total, $1,050,000. That's less than I expected, I tell Juliet. The formula accounts for the life estate. The house value is suppressed because your parents have the right to live there until they die. If you buy it, you're essentially buying future ownership. What about the loan? That's $320,000. That's separate. You own that debt through Westridge already. This is about the trust assets. I stare at the numbers. $1,050,000 to purchase control of the family property, to protect them from Cole's failures, to ensure they have stability even while they hate me for it. Do it, I say. Submit the offer. Juliet prepares the paperwork. The offer is formal, professional, exactly matching the trust formula. We submit it to Bernard Holt, who forwards it to my parents and Vernon Walsh. The response is immediate and explosive. Dad calls me for the first time in weeks. His voice is shaking with rage. You're buying our house? Our home? Where we raised you? I'm buying a trust interest, Dad. You can keep living there. This is theft. This is you punishing us for treating Cole fairly. This is me following exactly what grandfather set up to protect the family. You don't care about family, he shouts. You care about control. You can't stand that we chose Cole over you. I don't care about being chosen, I say quietly. I care about the truth, about what really happened with that loan. He hangs up. That night, my parents hold another family gathering, this time announcing it publicly on social media. Family meeting to discuss a difficult situation. All welcome. 20 people show up. They post photos. In every one, my parents look small and helpless, surrounded by supportive relatives. The captions all say variations of the same thing. Standing with family in hard times. I see the posts and feel nothing. I've moved beyond anger, beyond hurt. I'm in a place that's clear and cold and focused. Juliet calls late that night. They're planning something. Vernon Walsh filed for an emergency hearing to challenge the trust ruling. It won't work. Bernard's authority is solid. But they're trying. Let them try. There's something else, she says. The bank called me. Your parents did find someone willing to give them a private loan. They're attempting to pay off the Westridge note. Who would loan them $300,000? I'm finding out. But Audrey, if they pay it off before the trust buyout closes, they eliminate one piece of your leverage. The buyout still happens regardless of the loan, right? Yes, but it's messier, cleaner if we control both pieces. How long until the trust buyout closes? 3 weeks minimum. And how long until they can pay off the loan? Unknown. Private loans move faster than institutional ones. Could be days. I sit in my apartment, looking out at the city, thinking, they're fighting me with everything they have. They're rallying family, hiring lawyers, finding money from somewhere. But I have something they don't. Patience, documentation, and the knowledge that I'm following exactly the path my grandfather laid out. Let it play out, I tell Juliet. Whatever happens, we've done everything right. Okay, she says. But be ready. They're going to escalate again. She's right. 2 days later, my father announces he's having a family celebration party. The invitation goes out on social media, celebrating new beginnings and the strength of family bonds. Cole texts me, you should come. See what real family looks like. I don't respond, but I know what the party is really about. They're celebrating what they think is a victory. They think they've beaten me. They have no idea what's coming. The trust buyout closes on a Tuesday morning. I'm in Juliet's office, signing page after page of documents. Bernard Holt sits across from us, witnessing each signature. This is unusual, he says, but it's exactly what your grandfather intended. He knew money could corrupt families. He built in protections. The final document transfers ownership of the trust assets to me. The cabin, the rental property, and the underlying ownership of the family home. My parents retain their life estate. They can live there until they die. But I now control what happens after. What about the loan? I ask. That's separate, Juliet says. Westridge Holdings still owns that debt. They haven't managed to pay it off yet, which means you still control the note. So I own the house and the debt on the house? Essentially, yes. Bernard Holt leans back in his chair. Your grandfather would be proud. Not because you're winning, he didn't care about winning, but because you're using the tools he created to protect family assets from being destroyed by conflict. That's what he wanted. I sign the last page, it's done. What happens now, I ask. The documents are filed with the county today, Bernard says. They'll receive notification tomorrow. Then you have 30 days to decide what to do with the assets. That evening I'm home when Juliet calls. The notification was delivered. Your father knows. How bad? He called me screaming. I couldn't understand most of it, but the general message was clear. You've betrayed the family. You're stealing their home. He'll never forgive you. Did you explain the life estate? I tried. He's not listening. In his mind, you've taken his house. I hang up and sit in silence. Part of me feels guilty. Part of me feels justified. Most of me just feels tired. My phone buzzes. A text from Cole. Dad's having the party this weekend anyway. Come watch us celebrate what you'll never have. I almost laugh. They still think they're winning. They still think the house is theirs, that Cole inherits everything, that I'm on the outside looking in. They don't understand what just happened. Not yet. The party is Saturday afternoon. I don't plan to go, but on Saturday morning I change my mind. I want to see it. I want to witness what they think victory looks like. I arrive mid-afternoon. The house is full again. Same people, same music, same feeling of forced celebration. Mom sees me first. Her face goes hard. Audrey, Mom, you have some nerve showing up here. Cole invited me. She walks away without another word. I move through the house quietly, observing. People avoid me now. No more careful politeness. Just cold shoulders and whispered conversations. In the living room, Dad stands at the fireplace holding court. He's telling a story about Cole, about how proud he is, about how family loyalty matters more than money. Then he sees me. The room goes quiet. Audrey, he says loudly, come to see what you've lost. Everyone turns to look at me. I came because Cole invited me, I say calmly. Well, enjoy the view, Dad says. Because this is the last time you'll be welcome here. This house belongs to Cole now. The will is done. You get nothing. People nod. Someone claps. Congratulations, I say. Cole appears beside me, beer in hand, grinning. Enjoying the party? It's lovely. He leans close, voice low so only I can hear. Enjoy your company, Audrey. Your billions, your success. You'll never have this house again. You'll never be part of this family. You chose money over us, and now you get to live with that forever. I look at him carefully. Really look at him. He's 32, living with our parents. No real job, no prospects beyond the inheritance he thinks is coming. And he's gloating. Cole, I say quietly, do you know what grandfather's trust actually says? His grin falters slightly. What? Never mind, I say. You'll find out soon enough. I leave the party. As I'm walking to my car, I hear laughter from inside. They're celebrating. They think they've won. I drive home and pour myself a glass of wine. I sit on my balcony, looking out at the city, and I wait. Because tomorrow the county records will update. Tomorrow, they'll see the documents. Tomorrow, they'll understand what actually happened. And tomorrow, everything changes. Sunday morning, my phone starts ringing at 7 a.m. I'm awake. I've been awake since 5, unable to sleep, knowing what's coming. The first call is from Vernon Walsh. I don't answer. He leaves a voicemail. We need to discuss the recent property filing. Call me immediately. The second call is from Cole. I don't answer. His voicemail is just heavy breathing. And then, what the fuck did you do? The third call is from Dad. This one I answer. You bought our house, he says. His voice is shaking. You actually bought our house. I bought the trust interest, Dad. You still have your life estate. You can still live there. That's not what the documents say. They say you own it, that you control it. I own the underlying property. You have the right to live there as long as you're alive. That's what a life estate means. You stole our home. I purchased it legally through the trust mechanism grandfather created specifically for situations like this. Situations like what? Where children betray their parents. Situations where family members fight over money and someone needs to protect the assets. That's exactly what he intended. We're gonna fight this. Vernon says there are grounds to challenge the trust validity. You can try, but you'll lose. And it'll cost you more money you don't have. He hangs up. 20 minutes later, Mom calls. How could you, she says. She's crying. This is our home. We raised you here, and you're taking it from us. I'm not taking anything, Mom. You can live there as long as you want. Nothing changes in your daily life. Everything changes. You own our home. We're just guests in our own house. That's not true. You have legal rights to live there, but I now control what happens to the property long term. That's all. Why are you doing this to us? Because, I say carefully, Cole took out a loan against this house for his failed business. Because you're in default. Because you were about to lose everything. This way the house is protected. You're protected. Protected? By you controlling everything? Yes. She hangs up too. The rest of Sunday is quiet. No more calls, just texts from relatives I haven't heard from in years, all saying variations of, "What you're doing to your parents is wrong." Monday morning, Vernon Walsh sends a formal letter demanding that I relinquish the trust assets. He threatens legal action, claims elder abuse, uses words like undue influence and exploitation. Juliet responds with one sentence. All actions taken were in strict accordance with the trust documents established by the client's grandfather. We welcome judicial review. Tuesday, the local newspaper runs another story. This one is bigger. Front page of the community section, family trust dispute goes public. It outlines the basics. Wealthy daughter purchases family home through trust mechanism while parents still living there. The reporter quotes an anonymous source. This is financial elder abuse. She's using legal technicalities to control her parents' lives. I know it's Vernon Walsh, or my father, or both, but the story also includes a quote from Bernard Holt, the trust administrator. The trust provisions were created specifically to protect family assets during periods of conflict. Ms. Mitchell's actions are entirely legal and align with her grandfather's documented intentions. That same day, I get an email from a financial journalist I know from industry events. Subject line, story inquiry, family trust situation. The message, I've heard through sources that you're involved in a complex family situation. I'd love to hear your side, off the record if you prefer. I don't respond. Not yet. But I save the email. Wednesday afternoon, Juliet calls. They filed a challenge to the trust validity. They're arguing that your grandfather lacked capacity when he created it in 1987. He was 60 years old in 1987. He lived another 25 years. I know, it's a desperate argument, but it'll drag things out. Probably 6 months of litigation. Can they still live in the house during that time? Yes. Their life estate isn't affected by the challenge, but it's going to be ugly. Public court filings, possible media coverage, all of it. Let it be ugly, I say. I'm done protecting their feelings while they destroy mine. That evening, I write an email to the financial journalist. I don't send it yet, I just write it. I've been informed about your inquiry. My family and I are going through a difficult time involving a family trust my grandfather established in 1987. I've acted in strict accordance with that trust's provisions, which were designed specifically to protect family assets during periods of conflict. I've done nothing illegal, nothing unethical, and nothing designed to harm my parents. In fact, my actions have protected them from foreclosure and ensured they can remain in their home. I'm happy to provide documentation if you decide to pursue this story. I read it 3 times. Then I save it as a draft. Friday afternoon, I'm in my office when Julia tells me I have a visitor. She says she's your aunt, Helen? Aunt Helen is in the lobby, holding a folder. When she sees me, her eyes are sad. Can we talk? She asks. We go to a private conference room. She sits across from me and slides the folder across the table. I think you need to see this, she says. I've had it for a while. I kept hoping I wouldn't need to show you, but after everything that's happened... I open the folder. Inside are bank statements, credit card bills, and loan documents, all in Cole's name. All showing massive debt, gambling losses, failed business investments, and eventually, there it is, the home equity loan. Where did you get this? I ask. Your mother. She gave it to me 6 months ago. She was scared. She said Cole had gotten them into something bad, and she didn't know how to get out of it. She asked me to keep these safe in case something happened. Does she remember giving you this? I don't know. She might have convinced herself it never happened. That's what she does when things are too hard to face. I look through the documents. It's all here. Every failed business, every bad investment, every gambling debt. And at the end, the home equity loan, taken out specifically to pay Cole's creditors. Why didn't you show me this sooner? I ask. Because I thought maybe they'd figure it out. That your dad would see what Cole was doing and stop it. But he didn't. And then they changed the will and started blaming you. And I realized they're never going to tell the truth. Thank you, I say quietly. What are you going to do with this? I don't know yet. But it's evidence. It's truth. After Helen leaves, I sit with the folder for a long time. This changes everything. This proves that Cole destroyed our parents' financial security, not me. This proves I've been telling the truth. I call Juliet. I have documentation showing Cole caused the entire financial crisis. Send it to me. Now. I scan everything and email it. 30 minutes later, Juliet calls back. Audrey, this is significant. This proves your parents knew Cole was the problem. This shows they took out the loan to cover his debts. This completely undermines their argument that you're the villain. What do we do with it? We're ready to trigger the endgame, Juliet says. We have the truth, we have the trust, we have the loan note. It's time to force a resolution. How? We request a formal meeting, all parties present, the trust administrator, their attorney, your parents, Cole, you, and me. We lay everything out. We give them one chance to settle this reasonably. And if they refuse, then we proceed with the trust buyout, we enforce the loan terms, and we release the documentation showing what really happened. I take a deep breath. Set up the meeting. Are you sure? Once we do this, there's no taking it back. I'm sure. It's time for the truth. The meeting is scheduled for the following Tuesday, 1 week away. During that week, I receive 3 letters from Vernon Walsh, each more aggressive than the last. He threatens legal action, claims I'm harassing his clients, demands I cease all contact. Juliet responds to each with the same message. We look forward to discussing all matters at the scheduled meeting with the trust administrator present. Monday evening, the night before the meeting, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about what tomorrow will bring. The confrontation I've been avoiding for months, the truth that will finally come out, the family that might shatter completely. Part of me still wants to stop, to withdraw everything, sign whatever papers they want, give them money, and disappear from their lives. Let them have their version of the story. Let them be right. But I remember my grandfather's face. He died when I was 25, just as my company was starting to grow. Before he died, he pulled me aside at the hospital and said, Audrey, don't let them make you small. You're meant for big things, and big things always threaten small people. I didn't understand then. I do now. Tuesday morning, I arrive at Bernard Holt's office at exactly 10 a.m. Juliet is already there, setting up documents in the conference room. Ready? She asks. No, but let's do it anyway. My parents arrive at 10:15. Mom looks exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. Dad looks angry, jaw tight, shoulders back. Cole is with them, wearing a suit I've never seen before, probably borrowed for this occasion. Vernon Walsh arrives last, carrying a briefcase and wearing an expression of practiced confidence. We sit around the conference table, me and Juliet on one side, my parents, Cole, and Vernon on the other. Bernard Holt sits at the head of the table, neutral territory. Thank you all for coming, Bernard begins. We're here to discuss the Harrison Family Trust and related matters. I've asked everyone to approach this meeting with an open mind and a willingness to find resolution. Resolution? Dad says sharply. My daughter stole our house. What resolution is there? Mr. Harrison, Bernard says calmly. The trust provisions were executed exactly as written. No theft occurred. Then the trust is invalid. We can litigate that if you wish. It will take months, cost significant money, and you will lose. Your father's capacity at the time of trust creation is well documented. Multiple attorneys were involved. The trust is solid. Vernon Walsh clears his throat. With respect, Mr. Holt, we have concerns about undue influence. Miss Mitchell has used her resources to manipulate the situation to her advantage. Show me one action she's taken that violates trust provisions or relevant law, Bernard says. Vernon opens his briefcase but doesn't pull anything out. He has no answer. Let's discuss the actual situation, Juliet says. She opens her folder. The trust owns several assets, including an interest in the family home. When the beneficiaries experienced significant conflict and Mr. and Mrs. Harrison disinherited Audrey, the buyout provision was triggered. Audrey legally purchased the trust assets according to the formula your father established. That's not manipulation, that's following established rules. She's still taking our home. Mom says quietly. No, Juliet says firmly. You have a life estate. You can live there until you die. Nothing about your daily life changes. Except she owns it, Cole says. Except she controls it. Someone has to own it, I say. It's the first time I've spoken. Everyone looks at me. The house exists. Someone owns the underlying property. Grandfather set up the trust so that ownership would be clear and protected. I purchased that ownership according to his exact instructions. You could have said no, Dad says. You could have let us keep it. You do keep it. You keep the right to live there. I keep the ownership. Why? Mom asks. Why do you need to own it? This is the moment. This is where I tell them the truth. Because, I say slowly, you took out a $320,000 loan against the house. You defaulted on that loan. You were facing foreclosure. If I hadn't purchased the trust interest and the loan note, you would have lost the house entirely. I did this to protect you. Silence. Vernon Walsh recovers first. That's a self-serving narrative. You wanted control. No, Juliet says. She pulls out documents. She wanted to prevent this. She spreads papers across the table. The foreclosure notice, the default letters, the timeline of missed payments. Your clients were 30 days from losing their home, Juliet continues. The bank was proceeding with foreclosure. Audrey purchased the loan note through a properly established LLC, then used the trust buyout to secure the underlying property. She saved their home. Dad stares at the papers. We were handling it. How? I ask. How were you handling it? No answer. He took out that loan to cover Cole's business debts, I continue. His failed LLC, his gambling losses, his bad investments, all of it's documented, and when that debt defaulted, you blamed me. Cole stands up suddenly. That's bullshit. It's true, I say. I look at him directly. Aunt Helen gave me your financial records, all of them. I know what you did. I know what you cost them. Helen had no right. Mom gave her those records, I say, 6 months ago, because she was scared of what you'd done. Mom's face goes white. She looks at Cole, then at Dad, then down at the table. Is that true? Dad asks Mom. Did you give Helen papers about Cole's debts? Mom doesn't answer. This is ridiculous, that Vernon Walsh says. My clients are being attacked. Nobody's being attacked, Bernard Holt says sharply. We're discussing facts. Let Miss Mitchell finish. I take a breath. I paid off your mortgage 7 years ago as a gift. 2 years later, you took out a new loan without telling me. You used that loan to pay Cole's debts. When you couldn't make the payments, you blamed me for abandoning you. You changed your will to punish me. You held meetings with witnesses to make me look like a villain. And through all of it, I documented everything, stayed quiet, and worked to protect you from the consequences of Cole's choices. You're making me the bad guy? Cole says. He's angry now, voice rising. I'm the one who stayed. I'm the one who's been here. You stayed because you failed everywhere else, I say. The words come out harder than I intended, but I don't take them back. You stayed because it was easier than building something yourself. And when your failures created debt, you convinced our parents to risk their home to save you. That's enough, Dad says, but his voice is weak. Juliet pushes another document across the table. This is the loan documentation. It explicitly states the purpose. Debt consolidation for Cole Harrison's business obligations. It's signed by all three of you. There's no ambiguity. Vernon Walsh picks up the document, reads it, and his expression changes. He looks at my father, at Cole, and I can see the realization hitting him. He didn't know. They didn't tell their own attorney the truth. I think, Bernard Holt says carefully, we need to reconsider what's actually happening here. The meeting continues for another hour, but the energy has changed. Vernon Walsh is quieter now, realizing he's been defending clients who lied to him. My parents sit in stunned silence, unable to deny what's been documented. Cole alternates between anger and despair. Finally, Bernard Holt calls for a break. Let's take 30 minutes. Everyone collect their thoughts. My parents and Cole go to the hallway with Vernon. I stay in the conference room with Juliet and Bernard. That went better than expected, Juliet says. Did it? I ask. Because it feels terrible. Truth often does, Bernard says. Your grandfather knew that. It's why he built protection into the trust, because the truth about family money is usually complicated and painful. Through the conference room window, I can see my parents in the hallway. Mom is crying. Dad is standing with his hands on his hips, staring at the floor. Cole is pacing, talking rapidly, gesturing. Vernon Walsh stands apart from them, reading through documents on his phone. They're going to try to spin this, Juliet says. Even with the documentation, they'll try to make you the villain. Let them try, I say. When we reconvene, Vernon Walsh speaks first. My clients have asked me to propose a settlement. If Miss Mitchell will relinquish the trust assets and forgive the loan debt, they will withdraw all challenges and agree to no further contact. No, I say immediately. Audrey, Dad starts. No, I repeat. I purchased the trust assets legally. I own the loan note legally. The only reason I did any of this was to protect you from Cole's failures. I'm not giving that up so you can pretend none of this happened. Then what do you want? Mom asks. Her voice is small, defeated. I want you to stop lying, I say. I want you to tell the truth about what happened. I want you to stop telling people I abandoned you when I've done nothing but try to help. I want you to acknowledge that Cole destroyed your financial security, not me. We can't do that, Dad says. That would humiliate us. That would humiliate Cole. Truth is only humiliating when you've been lying, I say. Cole slams his hand on the table. You want us to tell everyone I failed? That I cost them their house? You want me to be the family embarrassment? You are the family embarrassment, I say quietly. The only question is whether you're willing to own it. He stands up, face red. This is it. This is you punishing us because we chose someone else for once. Because for once, you weren't the golden child who got everything. I never wanted to be the golden child, I say. I just wanted to build something that was mine, and you couldn't stand that. Enough, Bernard Holt says. This isn't productive. Let me propose something different. Everyone looks at him. The trust buyout is complete and legally binding. Audrey owns those assets. The loan note is owned by Westridge Holdings, which is Audrey's company. These facts aren't changing, so the question is, what happens next? What are our options? Vernon Walsh asks. Audrey could enforce the loan and demand payment. She could sell the trust assets. She could restructure the debt terms. She has many options. Bernard looks at me. Or she could do what I suspect she's always intended to do, protect her parents while maintaining proper boundaries. What does that mean? Dad asks. I look at Juliet. She nods. It means, I say slowly, that I'll restructure the loan into manageable payments. I'll ensure you can stay in the house. I'll maintain the trust assets so they're preserved for the future. But in exchange, you have to stop the smear campaign. No more telling people I abandoned you. No more witness meetings. No more newspaper stories. And you have to publicly acknowledge to the family at minimum that the financial problems were caused by Cole's debts, not by me. That's extortion, Cole says. No, Juliet says sharply. That's offering help with conditions. Extortion would be threatening harm. She's offering stability, something they desperately need, in exchange for honesty. That's called a negotiation. We need to discuss this privately, Vernon Walsh says. You have 48 hours, Juliet replies. After that, we proceed with enforcement of the loan terms as currently written. That means foreclosure, public sale, all of it. My parents leave with Cole and Vernon. They don't look at me as they go. Juliet and I pack up our documents. Bernard Holt walks us to the elevator. Your grandfather would be proud, he says again. Not because you won, but because you used the tools he gave you with integrity. That evening, I'm at home when the story breaks. Someone leaked it. I don't know who. Maybe Vernon Walsh, maybe a court clerk, maybe just someone who saw the public filings and put pieces together. The headline on the local news website, Tech CEO uses trust loophole to take parents home during inheritance dispute. The article is slanted, dramatic, and mostly inaccurate. It portrays me as a vindictive daughter weaponizing wealth against aging parents. It mentions the loan but frames it as a family loan I claimed ownership of. It doesn't mention Cole. It doesn't mention the gambling debts or the failed business. Within hours, it's picked up by a regional news outlet, then a state outlet. By midnight, it's on a national business news site with the headline, Billionaire daughter's family trust battle raises questions about wealth and family duty. My phone explodes with messages. Friends asking if I'm okay. Colleagues expressing concern. My board chair sending a terse message. We need to discuss this. I don't respond to any of them. Instead, I pull out the email I drafted to the financial journalist. I read it again, add a few sentences, and attach copies of key documents. The loan paperwork showing Cole as the debtor, the trust provisions showing my grandfather's intent, the foreclosure notice showing my parents were about to lose the house. Then I send it. The journalist responds within 30 minutes. Thank you for this. Can we talk tomorrow? Yes, I reply. I go to bed at 2 a.m., knowing that tomorrow everything changes again. That the story is about to get messier before it gets cleaner. That my family will hate me even more for defending myself publicly. But I'm done being quiet. I'm done being the villain in someone else's lie. If they want to make this public, then the truth goes public too. The next morning, I'm on a call with the financial journalist. Her name is Angela Porter, and she's thorough, asking detailed questions about every document, every timeline, every decision. So let me make sure I understand, she says. Your parents took out a loan to cover your brother's business debts. They defaulted. You purchased the loan and the trust assets to prevent foreclosure. But they're portraying you as the aggressor? Yes. And you have documentation for all of this? Everything. Bank records, loan documents, trust provisions, foreclosure notices, all of it. Why didn't you go public sooner? Because they're my family, I say. I kept hoping we could resolve this privately, but they made it public first. They framed the narrative to make me look like a villain. Now I'm correcting the record. This is going to be a big story, Angela says. Are you prepared for that? No, but I'm doing it anyway. The article publishes 2 days later. Angela's piece is long, detailed, and meticulously reported. She includes quotes from Bernard Holt explaining trust law, excerpts from the loan documentation, and a timeline showing exactly how events unfolded. The headline, The Real Story Behind the Family Trust Battle, How One Woman's Success Became the Scapegoat for Her Brother's Failures. The article goes viral. Within hours, it's trending on social media. Comments flood in, some supporting me, some criticizing me, most just shocked by the complexity of family money dynamics. My parents' narrative collapses. People who believed them start asking questions. The newspaper that ran the original slanted story publishes a follow-up with more balanced reporting. But the damage to my family is catastrophic. My father receives calls from people he's known for decades, asking why he lied. My mother's church group suddenly has questions about the misunderstanding they'd supported. Cole becomes the subject of town gossip, not the loyal son, but the failure who bankrupted his parents. Vernon Walsh withdraws as their attorney, citing irreconcilable differences in case strategy. And through all of it, my phone stays silent. My parents don't call. Cole doesn't text. It's like I've ceased to exist to them. But other people call. My Aunt Helen calls to say she's proud of me. My Uncle Tom calls to apologize for believing the lies. Former classmates from my hometown reach out to say they always knew something didn't add up. Most importantly, my board chair calls. I read the article. I want you to know the board fully supports you. What you did was protect your family within legal and ethical boundaries. That takes courage. The support helps, but it doesn't fill the hollow space where my family used to be. On day 5 after the article publishes, I get a call from an unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Audrey, it's Mom. Her voice is hoarse like she's been crying for days. Hi, Mom. Can we talk? Without lawyers, just us. Okay, not on the phone, in person. Can you come home? Home. She still calls it home. The house I now technically own, but they still live in. When? Tomorrow? Please? I agree. Against Juliet's advice, don't meet without representation, I drive home the next morning. The house looks the same. Nothing has changed physically, but everything feels different. Mom opens the door. She's aged a decade in the last few months. Dad sits in the living room, hands folded, staring at nothing. Cole isn't there. Where's Cole? I ask. He moved out, Mom says. He's staying with a friend. He's not doing well. We sit in awkward silence. Then Dad speaks. I was wrong, he says. He doesn't look at me. About everything. About the will. About blaming you. About believing Cole would succeed if we just gave him one more chance. Why did you believe him? I ask. Because I wanted to, Dad says simply. Because admitting he failed meant admitting I failed. As a father, I couldn't face that. Mom is crying quietly. We were so ashamed of the debt, of what Cole had done. It was easier to blame you, to make you the villain. That way, we didn't have to admit we'd made terrible choices. You did make terrible choices, I say. But that doesn't mean you had to destroy me in the process. I know, Dad says, his voice breaks. I know. We sit in that truth for a long moment, the admission hanging in the air, ugly and necessary. What happens now? Mom asks. I don't know, I admit. I own your house, technically. I own your debt. I have control over everything Grandfather put in the trust. But I never wanted this. I never wanted power over you. I just wanted you to see me, to value what I built, to stop using me as a scapegoat for Cole's failures. We see it now, Dad says. Too late, but we see it. Is it too late? Mom asks. Can we fix this? I think about that question for a long time before answering. Can we fix this? Can you repair a family after it's been shattered? After trust has been destroyed? After lies have been told to everyone who matters? I don't know if we can fix it, I finally say. But maybe we can rebuild something new, something based on truth instead of comfortable lies. How? Dad asks. You start by telling the truth publicly. To the family, to the church, to everyone you told I abandoned you. You tell them what really happened, that Cole created the debt, that you defaulted, that I saved the house, that you blamed me because it was easier than facing the truth. That will humiliate us, Mom says. Yes, I agree. It will. But that's the cost of lying. You humiliate yourselves to regain integrity, or you stay comfortable in the lie. You don't get both. They exchange looks. A whole conversation happening in silence between people who've been married 40 years. Okay, Dad says finally. We'll do it. 2 weeks later, my parents host a family gathering. Not a celebration this time. A confession. They invite everyone, all the relatives, the neighbors who served as witnesses, the church pastor, the family friends who believed their version of events. I'm there too, sitting in the back of the crowded living room, watching. Dad stands up. His hands shake as he holds a piece of paper, notes he wrote to make sure he says everything. Thank you for coming, he begins. I asked you here because I need to tell you the truth about something. About our family situation. About Audrey. The room is silent. Everyone watching. A few months ago, we changed our will to leave everything to Cole. We told many of you that Audrey had abandoned us, that she'd become distant and unwilling to help. That wasn't true. The truth is harder. He takes a breath. Mom sits beside him, hands clasped tight. Cole had business debts, significant debts from failed ventures and bad decisions. Rather than let him face the consequences, we took out a home equity loan to pay those debts. $320,000. We couldn't make the payments. We were facing foreclosure. Someone gasps. People exchange glances. When Audrey found out, she didn't abandon us. She purchased our loan through a legal entity to prevent foreclosure. She then used a family trust our father established decades ago to protect the house long term. She saved our home, and in return, we blamed her. We told you she was the problem, when in fact, she was the solution. The room erupts in whispers, questions, disbelief. Dad raises his hand for quiet. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just telling you the truth. Audrey deserves to have the truth told. She deserves to have her name cleared. Everything we said about her was wrong. Everything she did was to protect us. And we repaid her with lies. He sits down. Mom is openly crying now. Pastor Mike stands up. Thank you for your honesty. That took courage. People start leaving shortly after. Some stop to shake my parents' hands. Some stop to talk to me. Brief, awkward apologies. We should have asked more questions. We're sorry we believed the worst. Family is complicated. Mrs. Henderson, who was at the witness meeting, hugs me. I feel foolish. I should have known better. It's okay, I tell her. They were convincing. By evening, the house is empty except for me and my parents. We sit in the kitchen, the same kitchen where everything started with the will announcement. What now? Mom asks. Now, I say, we figure out next steps, practical steps. The loan? Dad asks. I'll restructure it. Reasonable payments over 30 years. You can afford it. You'll keep the house. When you die, Cole won't inherit it. It'll stay in trust for any grandchildren. But you're safe. That's generous, Dad says quietly. It's fair, I correct. Generous would be forgiving everything. Fair is making sure you're stable while maintaining boundaries. What about Cole? Mom asks. What about him? He's your brother. He's struggling. He created this situation, I say. He has to find his own way out of it. I'll help him. I'll connect him with financial counseling. Maybe help him find real employment. But I'm not funding his lifestyle anymore. He needs to learn that actions have consequences. They nod. They don't argue. Maybe because they finally understand, or maybe because they're too tired to fight. I leave their house that evening knowing something has fundamentally changed. We're not the family we were. We might never be that family again, but maybe, just maybe, we can be something more honest, something more real. The trust restructuring takes 3 weeks to finalize. Bernard Holt oversees every detail, ensuring everything is documented and legal. The final terms: I own the family home's underlying property through the trust. My parents have a life estate. They can live there until death. The loan is restructured into affordable monthly payments over 30 years. The cabin and rental property remain in trust, with income distributed to maintain them. Upon my parents' deaths, all trust assets transfer to any grandchildren. If none exist, they transfer to a family foundation I establish. Cole gets nothing unless he has children. The will my parents wrote leaving everything to him is nullified by the trust structure. When Cole hears about the final terms, he explodes. He calls me screaming. You cut me out completely. No, I say calmly, you cut yourself out. You destroyed their financial security. This protects them from you. They're my parents. Then you should have acted like it, instead of using them as a bank for your failures. He hangs up. I don't hear from him again for weeks. But I do hear from Aunt Helen. She calls to tell me Cole is applying for jobs, real jobs, not entrepreneurial ventures. He started attending a financial recovery program. He's angry and bitter, but he's trying. He's been enabled his whole life, Helen says. This might be the best thing that happened to him, eventually. Eventually is doing a lot of work in that sentence, I say. She laughs. True. But it's something. The public narrative changes completely. The business press runs follow-up stories about family trust structures and how they can protect assets during conflict. I get invited to speak on a podcast about navigating family wealth dynamics. During the podcast, the host asks, "Do you regret how this played out?" I think carefully before answering. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that my family chose lies over truth for so long. But I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret enforcing boundaries. I don't regret using the legal tools my grandfather created specifically for this purpose. Do you think you'll ever have a real relationship with your parents again? I don't know. Right now, we have a functional relationship. They're honest with me now. They've stopped blaming me publicly. We talk every few weeks. Is that a real relationship? Maybe. Maybe that's the best we can do after everything that happened. And your brother? My brother is learning to live with the consequences of his choices. I wish him well. But I'm not responsible for his success or failure anymore. He's an adult. He has to figure out his own path. The podcast goes viral in business circles. I get messages from dozens of people sharing similar stories, family members who weaponized their wealth, children who were scapegoated for family dysfunction, parents who manipulated through emotional guilt. One message stands out. It's from a woman in her 40s. My family did the same thing to me. I walked away completely, didn't buy their debt, didn't protect their assets, just cut all contact. Your approach was harder but better. You protected them even when they didn't deserve it. You maintained your dignity while enforcing boundaries. Thank you for showing there's a middle path between doormat and destroyer. I save that message. On hard days, when I wonder if I did the right thing, I read it again. 3 months after the trust restructuring, my father shows up at my office unannounced. Julia buzzes me. Your father is here. He doesn't have an appointment. Send him in. Dad walks into my office slowly, looking around at the floor-to-ceiling windows, the modern furniture, the wall of awards and recognitions. This is impressive, he says. Thank you. I've never been here before. To your office. I never asked to see what you built. No, I agree. You didn't. We sit in awkward silence. Then Dad says, I need to tell you something. I've been going to therapy. Your mother suggested it. Actually, she insisted on it. That's good. The therapist asked me why I was so angry at your success. I said I wasn't angry. She said that people don't punish success unless it threatens them. She asked what your success threatened. What did you say? I said I didn't know, but I thought about it for weeks, and I realized your success showed me everything I didn't do, every risk I didn't take, every dream I abandoned. When you left at 18 and built something incredible, it highlighted how small I'd kept my own life. He looks at me directly for the first time since arriving. I wasn't angry at you. I was angry at myself. And it was easier to make you the villain than to face my own regrets. I don't know what to say. This is the truth I've been waiting years to hear. But now that I have it, I don't feel triumphant. I just feel sad. Thank you for telling me, I finally say. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know. You didn't deserve what we did to you. Not any of it. He stands to leave. At the door, he pauses. Your mother wants to know if you'll come to dinner next month. For her birthday. No pressure. No conditions. Just if you want. I'll think about it, I say. After he leaves, I sit at my desk for a long time staring out at the city. I think about the journey from that first dinner where they announced the will change to this moment. All the pain, all the documentation, all the legal maneuvering. I think about Juliet's question from months ago. Do you want revenge or peace? I chose something harder. I chose justice. Clean, documented, boundary-enforcing justice. And maybe, just maybe, that justice has created space for something like peace. I send Mom a text. I'll come to dinner. Thank you for inviting me. Mom's birthday dinner is small. Just my parents, me, Aunt Helen, and Uncle Tom. No Cole. He declined the invitation. We eat pot roast, same as always. We talk about safe topics, the weather, the garden, town news. Nobody mentions the trust or the loan or any of it. During dessert, Mom says, Audrey, I've been meaning to ask, that article about you, the one in Fortune magazine about innovative CEOs. Can we have a copy? You want a copy? We'd like to frame it, put it in the living room. We should have done that years ago. Something in my chest loosens. It's a small gesture, but it matters. After dinner, I help Mom with dishes. She washes, I dry like we used to when I was a teenager. Cole's moving to another state, she says quietly. He got a job offer, management position at a distribution company. It's a fresh start for him. That's good. He's still angry at you. I know. But he's moving forward, that's something. We finish the dishes in comfortable silence. It's not perfect, we're not healed. But we're functional, honest, real. Later, when I'm leaving, Dad walks me to my car. I know this isn't the family you wanted, he says. It's not the family any of us wanted. No, I agree. But maybe it's the family we needed. The honest version. The real version. Maybe, he says. He hugs me. It's brief, awkward, but genuine. I drive back to the city thinking about families and truth and the high cost of boundaries. I think about how much easier it would have been to just give them money and disappear. How much simpler to be the villain they wanted rather than fight for the truth. But I chose the harder path. And while I lost the fantasy family, the one where everyone loves each other perfectly and nobody keeps score, I gained something more valuable. I gained my integrity, my self-respect, my boundaries. And sometimes that has to be enough. A year passes, life continues, my company thrives. I speak at conferences, mentor young entrepreneurs, build new products. The family drama becomes a story I tell sometimes, in the right context, to illustrate the complexity of family wealth. My parents make their monthly loan payments. Never late, never asking for adjustments, living modestly in the house they almost lost. Cole calls me once from his new city. The conversation is stilted, careful. I'm doing okay, he says. The job is good, stable. I'm glad. I still don't understand why you did what you did, why you had to own everything. I didn't want to own everything, Cole. I wanted to protect them from the consequences of your choices. There's a difference. Maybe, he says. I'm starting to see that, slowly. It's not forgiveness, it's not reconciliation. But it's acknowledgement. Sometimes that's the most you can get. The trust generates income from the rental property. I use it to create a family foundation focused on financial literacy education. It feels right, turning our family's financial dysfunction into something that helps others. Bernard Holt calls me one afternoon. Your grandfather would be proud, not just of what you did, but how you did it. With integrity, with documentation, with boundaries. Do you think it's over? I ask. The family conflict? No conflict is ever really over, Bernard says, but it's contained. Managed. That's what your grandfather wanted. Not perfect harmony, but functional boundaries. You achieved that. I hang up and think about perfect harmony versus functional boundaries. About the difference between fantasy families and real ones. My fantasy family would have celebrated my success, would have supported my choices, would have treated me with respect and love without conditions. My real family blamed me, weaponized guilt, and tried to control me through obligation. But my real family also eventually told the truth, eventually acknowledged their mistakes, eventually stopped lying to themselves and others. That's not perfect, but it's honest. And honest is better than perfect. 18 months after the trust restructuring, I get an unexpected call. It's from a lawyer representing Cole. Miss Mitchell, I'm calling on behalf of your brother. He'd like to discuss the trust terms. What about them? He believes he's entitled to some distribution from the trust. As a family member, he's prepared to challenge the current structure. I forward the call to Juliet immediately. She calls me back 20 minutes later, laughing. He has no case. The trust is ironclad. He can challenge all he wants, but he'll lose and he'll pay legal fees for the privilege. Should I respond? I'll respond. Formally, clearly, setting out exactly why he has no claim. That should end it. But it doesn't end it. Cole files paperwork challenging the trust validity on different grounds than our parents did, claiming he was promised the inheritance and the trust buyout violated that promise. It's a nuisance lawsuit. Everyone knows it. But it requires response. We're back in conference rooms, back with lawyers and documents and depositions. During one deposition, Cole's lawyer asks me, "Why did you structure the trust to exclude your brother?" I didn't structure the trust. My grandfather did, 40 years ago. I simply enforced the terms he created when the buyout provision was triggered. But you could have distributed assets to your brother. I could have, but he destroyed our parents' financial security. Why would I reward that? Do you hate your brother? No, I pity him. He spent his whole life trying to avoid responsibility for his failures. This lawsuit is just another example of that pattern. The lawsuit drags on for 6 months. Cole's lawyer keeps filing motions, keeps claiming new grounds for challenge, keeps trying to find a crack in the trust structure. There are no cracks. Finally, the judge rules. The trust is valid. The buyout was legal. Cole has no claim to any assets. He's ordered to pay our legal fees. Cole calls me after the ruling. He's angry, bitter, but also deflated. You won, he says. Happy? No, I say honestly, I'm not happy. I wish none of this was necessary. I wish you'd built your own success instead of trying to take mine. I wish our parents had taught us both that actions have consequences. But here we are. Here we are, he repeats. You with everything, me with nothing. That's not true, Cole. You have a job. You have your own life. You have the possibility of building something real. That's more than you had when you were living off our parents' equity. Easy for you to say. You're a billionaire. I'm a billionaire because I worked 80-hour weeks for 15 years, because I sacrificed relationships and health and peace of mind, because I took risks and failed and learned and tried again. You can do those things too. But not if you're spending all your energy fighting for money you didn't earn. He hangs up. I don't hear from him again, but I do hear from my parents. They call together on speakerphone. Thank you, Dad says, for defending the trust. We know Cole was wrong to sue. We told him not to, but he didn't listen. It's okay. It's not okay, Mom says. It's exhausting. We're tired of the fighting. We just want to live quietly in our house and be done with all of this. Then tell Cole that, I say. Tell him to accept reality and move on. We have, Dad says, multiple times, but he doesn't listen to us. He never has. After we hang up, I realize something. I've been fighting for my parents' respect for years. Fighting to make them see me, value me, acknowledge what I built, but they're never going to see me the way I wanted them to. Not because of anything I did or didn't do, but because they're fundamentally incapable of it. They see what they need to see to make their own choices bearable. That's not about me. It's about them. Understanding that brings a strange peace. I don't need their approval anymore. I don't need their acknowledgement. I don't need them to be proud. I'm proud of myself, and that's enough. 2 years after everything began, I'm invited to speak at a family business conference. The topic, navigating family wealth and succession. I accept, not because I have easy answers, but because I have honest ones. During my talk, I tell the story. All of it. The will change, the loans, the trust buyout, the public battle, the eventual truth-telling. I don't name my family specifically, but anyone paying attention could figure it out. The key lesson, I tell the audience, is that love without respect is just control. Family obligation without boundaries is exploitation. You can protect people while still enforcing consequences. You can use legal structures without being manipulative. But you have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to be the villain in someone else's story while being the hero in your own. The audience is silent when I finish. Then someone starts clapping, then everyone. During the Q&A, someone asks, "Do you regret how everything played out?" It's the same question the podcast host asked years ago. But my answer has evolved. I regret that it was necessary. I regret the pain it caused everyone involved. But I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret enforcing boundaries. I don't regret choosing truth over comfortable lies. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to enable dysfunction, even when that makes you the villain. After the talk, people approach me, person after person, sharing their own family war stories, inheritance battles, business succession fights, sibling rivalries turned financial. Everyone has a version of this story. Not the details, but the dynamics. The scapegoat and the golden child. The enabler and the manipulator. The truth teller and the lie protector. "Thank you for being honest," a woman tells me. "Most people in your position would pretend it never happened. You owned it." That evening, I'm in my hotel room when my phone rings. It's Mom. "I watched your talk," she says. "It's online. Someone posted it." "Oh, you told everything?" "Yes." Silence. Then, "You were fair. You didn't make us look worse than we were. You didn't make yourself look better than you were. You just told the truth. That was the goal." "I'm sorry," she says, "for all of it, for blaming you, for choosing comfort over honesty, for letting Cole manipulate us, for everything." It's the most honest apology I've ever received from her. "Thank you," I say. "That means a lot." "Will you come home for Christmas?" she asks. "Your father and I would like to host. Small, just family, the real family, you, Helen, Tom, people who matter." "What about Cole?" "We invited him. He said no. He's spending Christmas with his girlfriend's family, which is probably for the best." I think about it. Christmas at home. The house I technically own but they live in. The family that broke and is slowly, painfully rebuilding into something more honest. "Okay," I say. "I'll come." "Really?" "Really. But Mom, no pretending. No acting like everything is perfect. If we're doing this, we're doing it honestly." "Honestly," she agrees. "I promise." Christmas is quiet. Snow falls outside, coating the familiar streets of my hometown. The house smells like pine and cinnamon. Mom made her traditional cookies. Dad set up the tree. We open presents, small things, books, scarves, practical gifts. Nothing extravagant, nothing guilt-laden. Helen gives me a framed photo of my grandfather. "I found this in my attic, thought you should have it." In the photo, Grandpa is standing outside the family cabin, smiling, holding a fishing pole. He looks happy. Free. "Thank you," I say. I'm not usually emotional, but this hits differently. The man who created the trust that saved us all. Frozen in a moment of simple joy. After dinner, Dad asks me to take a walk with him. We bundle up and walk through the neighborhood, past houses decorated with lights, past families visible through windows. "I've been thinking about what you said in that talk," Dad says, "about love without respect being control." "Yeah? I never respected what you built. I was intimidated by it. I felt small next to your success. So I tried to make you small too. To make your success about luck or selfishness or anything except your actual talent and work." "I know. I'm sorry for that. Really sorry. You deserved a father who celebrated you, not one who diminished you." We walk in silence for a while. Then I say, "You can't change the past, but you can be different now. That's all any of us can do. I am different now. Your mother is different. We're not the people who changed that will 2 years ago." "No," I agree. "You're not." Back at the house, we play cards. We laugh. We tell stories. It's not perfect. There are awkward moments, painful pauses, subjects we carefully avoid. But it's real. It's honest. And that makes it better than any perfect fantasy could be. Before bed, I check my email. There's a message from Cole. Subject line, Merry Christmas. I almost don't open it, but I do. Merry Christmas, Audrey. I'm not ready to talk to you. I might never be. But I wanted you to know I'm okay. I'm building something real here. A life. A career. Without anyone's help. It's hard. But it's mine. Maybe someday we can have a conversation about everything. Maybe not. But I wanted you to know I'm trying, Cole. I read it twice. It's not an apology. It's not reconciliation. But it's acknowledgement. It's growth. I write back. Merry Christmas, Cole. I'm glad you're building something real. I hope it brings you the satisfaction you were looking for. Take care of yourself. I hit send and close my laptop. That's enough for today. Maybe forever. Maybe that's all we'll ever have. Distant acknowledgement and separate lives. And that's okay. The final piece of the story happens 3 years after everything began. I'm in a board meeting when Julia interrupts. Juliet Carver is on the line. She says it's important. I step out. Juliet? Your father's attorney called. Your parents want to update their will again. To what? They want to leave their life estate to you, not to Cole. They want to formally acknowledge that you protected them and that you should benefit from that protection. Why now? I think because they finally understand, really understand, what you did and why you did it. I think about this for a long moment. My parents want to give me back what they took away. They want to formally acknowledge my value. Tell them I appreciate it, I say finally. But I don't need it. The trust already handles everything. Their life estate continues until they die. Then the property reverts to the trust for any grandchildren or the foundation. That's enough. Are you sure? This is them trying to make amends. I'm sure. I don't need their inheritance to know my worth. I already know it. When I tell Mom and Dad my decision, they're quiet. Then Mom says, "You're a better person than we deserve." I'm not better. I'm just clear on what matters. And inheriting your life estate doesn't matter. Having an honest relationship with you does. You have that, Dad says, for whatever it's worth. It's worth everything, I say. It's worth more than any inheritance could be. A week later, I'm going through old photos and I find one from when I was 10. It's a family picture. Me, Mom, Dad, Cole, all smiling at the camera. We look happy. We look simple. I study that photo for a long time, trying to remember who we were then. Before money, before success, before failure, before everything broke. But I can't remember that version of us. Because maybe we were never that simple. Maybe the dysfunction was always there, just hidden beneath the surface, waiting for pressure to expose it. Or maybe families are always more complicated than photos suggest. Maybe everyone has secret resentments and hidden fears and unspoken expectations. Maybe the goal isn't to be a perfect family. Maybe it's just to be an honest one. I framed the photo and put it on my desk. Not as a reminder of what we lost, but as a reminder of what we became. A family that broke and rebuilt itself with truth instead of comfortable lies. 5 years after the will change that started everything, I receive an unexpected letter. It's from Cole. The envelope is thick. Inside is a multi-page handwritten letter. Audrey, it begins. I'm writing this because my therapist says I need to acknowledge the harm I caused. Not to make you forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness, but because truth matters. You taught me that, even though I resisted learning it. The letter continues, detailing everything. His failed businesses, his gambling, his manipulation of our parents, his resentment of my success. I told myself you were lucky, that you had advantages I didn't, that your success was somehow unfair. But the truth is, you worked harder than me. You took risks I was afraid to take. You built something real while I kept chasing shortcuts. When Mom and Dad took out that loan for my debts, I convinced myself they wanted to help, that it was their choice. But I pressured them. I made them feel like they had to choose between saving me and losing me. That's manipulation. That's abuse. I did that. And when you stepped in to save them from the consequences of my choices, I hated you for it. Because your competence highlighted my incompetence. Your boundaries highlighted my dysfunction. So I tried to make you the villain. I tried to make everyone see you as cold and greedy, when really you were the only one being honest. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. What I did. What you did. Why you had to do it. I'm sorry it took me 5 years to see it clearly. I'm in a good place now. I'm engaged. I'm up for a promotion. I'm building a life that's actually mine, not borrowed or funded by other people. It's taken a long time to get here, but I'm proud of it. Genuinely proud. Maybe someday we can talk, maybe not, but I wanted you to know, you were right. About everything, and I was wrong about everything. Your brother Cole. I read the letter 3 times. Then I call him, he answers on the first ring. Audrey, I got your letter. Oh, yeah. I didn't know if you'd read it. I read it 3 times. Silence. Then and? Thank you, for being honest, for acknowledging what happened, for doing the work to see it clearly. It's the least I could do. No, I say. It's actually a lot. Most people never get there, never acknowledge their harm, never do the work. I had to. I was destroying myself, and I'd already destroyed so much else. We talk for an hour about his life, his job, his fiancée, about my company, my life, my continued navigation of family dynamics. It's not perfect. There are still painful moments, careful avoidances, topics we don't touch, but it's real. It's progress. Can I meet her? I ask finally. Your fiancée? Really? Really? If you're building something good, I want to see it. I'd like that, he says. His voice breaks slightly. I'd really like that. We make plans. Tentative, careful plans. Dinner next month when he visits for work. Just the 3 of us, him, his fiancée, and me. It's not reconciliation. Not yet. But it's a beginning. After we hang up, I sit with that feeling. Hope mixed with caution. Possibility mixed with self-protection. I think about Juliet's question from years ago. Revenge or peace? I didn't choose either. I chose justice. Clean, documented, boundary-enforcing justice. And maybe, just maybe, justice created space for something like peace to grow. 7 years after the will change, I'm standing in the family cabin, the one I own through the trust, the one my grandfather bought 60 years ago as a place for family to gather. I'm here with Mom and Dad, Helen and Tom, and, surprisingly, Cole and his wife. We're scattering my grandfather's ashes. He'd been kept in an urn in Mom's closet for 20 years, waiting for the right time. We finally decided there's no right time, just now. We take a boat out on the lake. The water is calm, the sky clear. We take turns saying things about Grandpa. Dad talks about fishing trips. Mom talks about his terrible jokes. Helen talks about his wisdom. Tom talks about his stubbornness. Cole talks about lessons learned too late. Grandpa always said, "Build something you can be proud of." I didn't understand that for a long time. I thought he meant build something impressive, something big, but he meant build something honest, something that reflects who you actually are, not who you're pretending to be. Then it's my turn. I hold the urn, feeling its weight. Grandpa gave me 2 gifts, I say. The first was believing I could build something big. He never doubted me, even when everyone else did. The second was the trust, the structure that forced us to be honest with each other, the tool that prevented our family from destroying itself. He knew money would complicate things. He knew success would create tension. He knew families fight, so he built protection into our inheritance. Not to control us, but to save us from ourselves. I used that gift. I enforced those boundaries, and because of that, we're here, together, broken but healing, honest instead of comfortable. I scatter his ashes on the water. They float for a moment, catching the light, then disappear into the lake he loved. We sit in silence, watching the ripples fade. Then Mom says, "Thank you, Audrey, for fighting for this, for us. Even when we didn't deserve it." Especially when we didn't deserve it, Dad adds. I don't respond. I just nod, because there's nothing left to say. We've said it all, we've lived it all, we've survived it. Later, back at the cabin, we make dinner together. We tell stories, we laugh. We have moments of comfortable silence and moments of careful navigation around painful topics. It's not perfect. We're not healed. There are scars that will never fully fade, but we're here. We're honest. We're real. Cole pulls me aside before they leave. "Thank you for inviting us, for letting me be part of this. You're my brother," I say simply. That doesn't change, even when everything else does. I know I don't deserve your grace. Grace isn't about deserving, I say. It's about choosing to move forward. You did the work. You earned the chance to try again. After everyone leaves, I stand on the cabin porch alone, looking out at the lake. The sun is setting, painting the water gold and pink. I think about the journey from that dinner where they announced the will change to this moment. All the documentation, all the legal maneuvering, all the public battles and private pain. I think about what I've learned. Love without respect is just control. Family obligation without boundaries is exploitation. Truth is more important than harmony. Justice is more valuable than peace without integrity. And I think about what my grandfather knew when he created that trust 40 years ago. Families are complicated. Money makes them more complicated. And the only protection is structure, honesty, and boundaries. If you've ever been punished for succeeding, remember this. Document everything, stay calm, and let contracts do what arguments can't. Build your boundaries with love and enforce them with strength. Be willing to be misunderstood in the short term to be respected in the long term. And never, never surrender your integrity for someone else's comfort. That's the real inheritance. Not money. Not property. Not approval. The inheritance is knowing your worth and defending it, even when it costs you everything else. Especially then.